And we're live at the DJ Knowledge Crate podcast, episode 1.
And that was take 2 of that, by the way.
Take 3. It was take 3. Terry did a little smoke alarm and we had to evacuate. But we're back. Happy Christmas, everybody.
Hey, happy Christmas.
Yeah.
A quick introduction here. I'm Bazza Ranks. On my left.
Hold on, let's work
He's
this
on
out.
my right.
Yeah, this is Terry Atomic Hooligan from the On the Rise DJ Academy.
And this is Jay Cunningham from also the On the Rise DJ Academy.
So basically we decided a while ago that we would start a podcast dealing with DJ tips, techs, tricks, new technologies and everything else that's come out. And as the lad said, they're from On the Rise DJ Academy. So I guess first part of call is to ask you guys how this came to be and sort of what brought you to this path of teaching and DJ.
So, I mean, it was quite a natural evolution for us, you know. I think from both our personal experiences, trying to find something out there in a podcast that can kind of talk about the stuff that we're interested in. You know, there are thousands and thousands of DJs around the world, and we just want to kind of create a bit more of a central hub where you can find out about, you know, the latest kit, the latest software, you know, get some kind of little tips, interviews with people that are relevant to DJs, not just talking about gigs, but actually what kit they're using, how they're using it. We might talk to kit suppliers, DJs, just basically a central hub where DJs can be informed about all aspects of DJing.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, the industry is so fast moving all the time that we wanted to just compile all the best parts of what we think are the most pertinent bits of information and pass them on to students and just listeners.
Would it be fair to say that there is a lot of shit that you have to sift through to find gold in this kind of area?
Like
Do you know what? I don't even think there is any shit. I don't think there's anyone really doing this out there, and I think that was one of the main motivators of doing it. There's a couple of podcasts that do something kind of similar, but I think they're quite niche to specific regions. Whereas this is, you know, we want this to kind of be as open to, you know, globally reachable as possible, basically.
And also like with constant like kind of social media streams and stuff like that, you do have to sift through a lot of stuff. So I mean, we really wanted to like kind of pull that all in together and tell you about the stuff that we really think is important.
But you know, when DJs meet up, I know whenever I'm here, we can chew the fat about everything from this controller to this. Do you find that when you meet up with, you know, any sort of DJ from beginner to, you know, 20, 30 years in the game, is it the same kind of fascination for what's new, what's going on, what are people using?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, back in the day, you know, it was vinyl. So, you know, really the only conversation, well, there wasn't really conversations. Maybe scratch DJs would talk about what type of needles they might be using or some tips about how to balance a turntable well. But, you know, that tech conversation was quite limited and it was mostly about the music. Nowadays, obviously, there's been a huge branch of choice for DJs and platforms to go on, from, you know, turntables to DVS to controllers, CDJs. You can still use CDs, USBs. You know, there's so much choice. And even within that technology, there's also a whole host of different kind of platforms and brands. So yeah, it's definitely a kind of point of conversation now. And I think especially for aspiring DJs out there, they're looking at DJs, you know, with YouTube videos and the accessibility of being able to kind of get in the booth with a lot of DJs. You can see what these guys are using.
That was a question I had. Like, if you think back to when I started or when you guys started, it was get a pair of Technics, get some needles, get some records. It's a different world right now. Like, when you guys get clients, are they all ages, all, you know?
All over the place, yeah. All the way from I think our youngest is six, Jesus. 6 years old, all the way up to the eldest, which he was
63.
63.
This guy basically retired. And with his money, had set up a mobile DJ business with his niece, had got like a contract with a local council to supply music at their fetes and stuff. Yeah. And he'd bought like a Tractor S4, a sound system, and came to us because, you know, we'd kind of worked out how to play music, but, you know, wanted to be able to do a little bit more with it.
So he was the opposite, whereas he had a busy schedule of gigs, but didn't know how to DJ. You know, he goes the opposite way.
I mean, there's a real cross section of people that, I mean, we do get a lot of people who have already got gigs and they want to get better at using the equipment that they've got, and we get complete newbies who are not particularly interested in getting gigs at that moment in time. They just want to be able to play the music that they love and have a bit of a bit of knowledge so they can enjoy it even more.
Yeah.
But there isn't one like kind of demographic of people that we get more of.
Yeah.
No, I mean, most people, I think when you talk about a DJ school and people that want to learn, the demographic is, I bet it's your kind of early 20-year-old guys into Ghetto Avicii and those guys
really
that want to play EDM. And actually, there are a minority in the people that we teach. This year or the last 12 months, by far, we've had female DJs coming in, and a good portion of those want to learn vinyl.
Yep.
We've had
good music as well, like kind of like techno and deep house and stuff like that. It's not like it's very much people who are in love with the music and want to learn how to play it.
Yeah.
So the future is bright, basically.
It's it's like, it's not just that DJs are now today's rock stars. Kids have always aspired and looked up and seen DJs and want to be a DJ for years now, rather than be a guitarist or a drummer or a vocalist. But now that's also expanding out to the older generation. We've had a lot of retired policemen, paediatric nurses, we've had pole dancers, we've had people, socialites, people from all different walks of life, and a lot of those will be in the sort of late 40s, 50s bracket. Kids are grown up, always love music, want to kind of pick up that, they know now that DJ technology is cheaper and more accessible to buy and to get, and they just want to basically have a kickstart.
Yeah, we've had whole families through as well. Like people, like the dad would come, and then the kids would come, and then like we ended up having one of the guys, his wife came along as well. We've made a family of DJs.
That's cool, man. And even like for myself, from my own experience, having a busy schedule of gigs and whatnot. Anytime I come here, I learn something from you, or you tell me to clean my shit up or do this. So it never really ends. And that's what I kind of want from this, is for actual working DJs and clubbing DJs and producers and everything else to tune in, because there will be something for all kinds of heads.
Everybody, myself and Jay are always learning as well. Like that's part of our job, really. Like there's always something else you can be looking at to make your life either easier or more creative.
I think we treat this like you would a DJ. You always assume that there's someone in the wings ready to take your place, and if you take your foot off the pedal, then someone's going to overtake you. And that's even more so true with what we do, because as Terry said, the technology, software, hardware is constantly evolving, and with that brings new creativity and new ways for people to be able to DJ. For me, the kit that's coming out, and especially in the last year, they are being seen more and can be used more as musical instruments rather than just record players or CD players. There's a lot of stuff that you can do to manipulate music. Music isn't linear anymore. You're not at the mercy of a record needle. You put it on and you have to do what it's going to do. You can now live remix stuff really easily. With a lot of, as long as you put the work in advance, all you're waiting for is just your creativeness to kind of come out.
I think you could see that in the 3 style and all that. It's another level to what I started watching years back.
I mean, we were literally just down at Serato the other day. They've just opened up a London studio for artists and schools and stuff like that. Yeah, we're not allowed to tell everybody where it is though. And we had the guys there show us a bit more about Flip, so sort of using Serato Flip and how to use it. Number one, in like a very practical way to like kind of
A to B, joint.
Yeah, well, to create intros and outros. So it's without using necessarily like kind of having to trigger the hot cue or loops or anything like that, but also how to live remix with it, and it's awesome. And like the people I've talked to about Flip since then have like, I didn't realise it could do that. So we're kind of here to take the knowledge from the source and spread it out.
There's never been a more exciting time in DJ technology.
Really,
yeah.
And so, just as a background bit of info, like how often are you updated or inundated with new this, new that, new stuff? Is it literally monthly or is it
weekly basis?
I would say certainly weekly.
Right.
I mean, you took, for example, back in November last year, Pioneer released 5 products in 7 days.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's insane. Especially where you'd probably be used to having something sort of once every couple of months or once a year, like a game changer.
I didn't realise it was that.
Yeah. Oh, it was mental. Absolutely mental.
So it's a full. I mean, obviously it's a full-time gig, but it's a full-time gig just trying to be clued up to what.
Yeah. But it's great. It suits the inner nerd. We like it.
Yeah.
Feeds the soul.
Yeah. Which DJs effectively are just kind of.
Yeah, nerds that play music.
Attention-seeking nerds.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good introduction. And so with that, I think we're gonna rock into the first segment.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so I think one of the things we wanted to do is just kind of update people on news and bits that are happening now. Obviously, as this is the first podcast, we're going to touch on a couple of bits of kit that have come out in 2017, but are just well worth of a mention. The first one is the Pioneer XDJ RX2. Now, those of you that know that RX was a fantastic controller, one of only 2 standalone units that Pioneer released. But the first one was released, many, many years ago and was well overdue an update. This RX2 comes with much better performance pads, an intuitive touchscreen, and the controls are taken from the Nexus 2000 Mark II, and the mix has got some effects, and again, like the hardware inside is from the Nexus 900 too, so a great kind of release from them. The second one I wanted to mention, again, kind of came out mid 2017 last year, was the Denon Prime series. They came out with this whole kind of marketing campaign of hashtag change your rider, quite easily could have been hashtag game changer as well. The media players, the SC5000s, are just phenomenal. They've come out with a multi-touch 7-inch high-resolution screen. These things look and respond amazingly. There's dual layer, so you can actually DJ with just one media play and one mixer. There's 2 audio outputs of it.
Which I have, and it's amazing. I'm about to do my next podcast, which will be airing before this one, but my next live stream on Facebook, just using the layers on the Prime, so just using one unit. So realistically, you can get into the high-end media player game for half the price.
So you're buying one deck?
You're buying one deck, yeah.
And what's it like, Serato internal sort of job, or is it?
They work off their own software.
Yeah, you can actually, they've just released, in December last year, they released connectivity to Serato, so you can actually control 4 Serato decks off one turntable, one player.
So let me ask you this, though. This is a Denon piece of kit, right? So it won't be in this club necessarily.
This is definitely going to be the biggest challenge for Denon.
Is that the change rider? Is that their approach? Is like, get these in?
Yeah. They've kind of come at this from the top. So they've got Tiesto, Paul Oakenfold, Laidback Luke. I'm pretty sure there's a few more that are on the card. So they've kind of hit the top echelon of kind of DJs. Yeah. But, that's not enough. And I'm pretty sure they're aware of that. You need to truly change the game. It has to be a consumer-driven charge. You could go in all the clubs in the world and say, put these in. But if DJs are turning up and going, where's my Pioneer gear? It's going to be very hard. So, for me, it's a long game, but ultimately,
it's a ballsy move, isn't it?
It is, but to me, I think it's well overdue. I think it's well overdue. I think I love Pioneer, and I've loved them for years and years. They've had a very big, huge influence within clubs and equipment. And I think when a serious contender comes along like Denon with this Prime Series range, of course, not everyone's going to suddenly jump in and go in them. But what it will do, hopefully, Pioneers can look at that and go, wow. Okay, all right. And they'll step their game up. And the winners for me are like the DJs.
Yeah.
They're the winners, because in a high kind of competition market, innovation, productivity, and more important, cost in more favour of the consumer starts becoming a more, acceptable and broader range.
And for the clubs, I'd imagine. A club manager doesn't want to spend, he wants to spend less on his DJ equipment if you can.
Potentially, he's going to have to spend twice as much now and get them both in. Then that's the thing. I don't think you can go head to head with Pioneer with the player and just like Jay was saying, where you just go into the club and say, put these in. Because I don't think anybody at this moment in time really wants them. But the more traction that Denon get with the players, the more people using them, the more people see big names like who's it?
So Laidback Luke, Paul Oakenfold.
I mean, Laidback Luke is one of the best DJs in the world, hands down. He's brilliant. So the more people see what he can do with them, the more people are going to gravitate towards the brand and say, I want to get my hands on it.
Do you know what? It's what I talked about earlier about these things now becoming more musical instruments than players, and because they've put the performance pads right at the bottom. There's 8 of them laid out. There's 4 different options for each one, from Slicer, Hot Cue, Roll, and Loop. I can't remember the 4th one.
If you're a controller DJ, these things are going to be absolutely
very intuitive.
Very intuitive to you.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, because we've spoke about this off air before, and for me, and I think you agreed as well, it's whatever you're practicing with at home or in your bedroom or wherever you practice, you want that exact feel, setup, look, shape, whatever. You want that when you're stepping into the club, so you don't play like a...
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's asking how much is one?
So they're about $1,450 for each media player. And I think it's about the same for the mixer. So you're talking like $4,500, which, by the way, students of ours get 10% discount at djkit.com. A little plug in there.
Subliminal message: book lessons with us and get money off your kids.
But listen. Like I was saying earlier, like this, the whole world has kind of moved in such a broad spectrum of technical options for people to be able to perform on. I think still the most important thing is your base skill.
Yeah.
And people often ask us, what's the best kit to learn on? What's the best kit that I can use? The reality is whatever you've got at home. Master that. There's no point. You could go and do a track in a studio that's £1 million studio, but I've got a producer on my label, or he's with Viper Recordings now, Toronto. Is broken. This kid, if you saw his studio, basically had an old tower computer, a keyboard with as many food groups in there as possible, and no speakers. He just did everything through headphones, and he produced the most phenomenal quality stuff. Subfocus was raving about him. Metrics was playing his stuff out. It was just phenomenal. It's about what you've got. Master your skill, and then you can broaden out from them. Because I think it's also important to creatively develop as a DJ, to work out, what kind of DJ you're ultimately going to be. Yeah. Back in the day, you either mix tunes or you were a scratch kind of sort of turntablist style DJ. Now, there's so much variation in between that, and so much more importantly, kit to actually facilitate that style of DJing. I've changed my style of DJing over the last, more so over the last 10 years, because as I've, got to learn kit a lot more than I probably did, when I was playing out really regularly, because, you need to know what this does. And you think, oh, well, if I can do that and I can do those loops, I can start incorporating loops a lot more into how I DJ. So, keep an open mind, but, utilize the kit that you've got and smash that out before you kind of sort of buy thousands of pounds worth of kit.
Yeah, that's good advice, I would imagine. So, next up, Serato DJ Pro.
So just one quick thing on the Denon Prime. They've got VL12s, which are turntables. We had a little play at BPM this year, and they're really, really nice.
I mean,
really
one of the big things with the VL12s is the torque adjustment.
Oh, I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to say because you could change the colour on them.
You can change the colour on the platter.
Very important.
They can look like one of the cars from the Fast and the Furious. You can change like the fluoro lights underneath them.
Kit on acid.
But the torque adjustment on them is pretty special, because you buy a turntable, like some of them have got high torque, some of them have got the kind of torque that you used to get with the Technics 1200s and 1210s and stuff. But on this one, you don't have to make your decision on the turntable you buy based on the torque, because you can adjust them. So it goes from high to low, basically.
What's the price saying for these?
I think they're about. I think they've mentioned it's potentially around $650. Something like that.
So we did, yeah.
They're definitely on the slightly kind of upper end, but again, Terry and I did loads of research over the last 3-4 months for turntables, because both of us have still got our Technics, and they're literally like 24 years old.
We literally just bought a pair of
PLX
1000s, the Pioneer ones, which are really, really nice. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah. I was very happy. So I do a weekly radio show, and I use those and I was really impressed, because especially a lot of stuff, getting that additional pitch range as well was really nice, and they handled well.
So is a good new turntable trying to stay as close to the king of the last 20 years?
It's funny that, I mean, the same basic build, if you were to look at it, if the Technics 1200 or 1210 didn't exist, then that's like kind of, it's questionable whether DJing would exist if it didn't. But would these turntables look the same as the Technics turntables range? I'm not sure. Who knows? But they all basically look and operate in a very, very similar way. But all the new generation of turntables, really going from like the kind of the Vestax PLXs and stuff like that back in the day, have started adding some DJ gadgetry to it, like the adjustable goes up. What the
so it goes plus minus 8, 16 and 50.
Yeah.
So it virtually stops on the lowest and kind of.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So
and I found, I found that when I was using them as well, because I was doing like a kind of old 92 show, that kind of started off at like 120 BPM and ended up at 165. So you kind of do need that range to be able to help. And because all the vocals are pitched up to the max anyway, it doesn't really make much difference. But I found it really smooth. and even at plus or minus 16, you were still getting, you know, really nice, accurate results with it.
I mean, one of the main things about the old Technics though is they last forever. Like with a few decent services, they'll last forever. Now, whether a lot of these newer turntables will, because they haven't been around for 30 plus years,
they're still in test, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the 1000s are built like tanks though. They're definitely as heavy.
Well, they're basically based on the 1200.
Yeah, they are a tank. So we'll see if they kind of stick around. I'm sure they will.
The new VL12, I think, so the Technics are about 11 kilos. I can't remember what the PLX is, but I'm sure he said that the VL12s were about 14 or 15 kilos. So they're going to be like a proper lump. You know, these are...
This is what I wanted to ask, just on a sort of general question on this, because you guys would know more. Like, when you think of how expensive and how heavy they are there young kids still wanting to...
Oh, yeah,
learn?
Definitely. Yeah. In fact, we actually took a call... I say today, but obviously it was a few weeks ago.
Merry Christmas!
Can't get concept of time. So this woman called up today and she said, look, you know, I'm a total beginner. I want to do a 3-day course on vinyl. I want to do a 3-day course on, you know, 1-to-1. And I want to learn digital management, blah, 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 scratching. And I talked to her and I said, look, you know, what's your kind of thought behind that? She said, look, you know, I want to DJ. I work in clubs and I see DJs on there. You know, I think, you know, I can do equally or better than that. And she sat down and thought about it, went, do you know what, I want to start on vinyl. And it was actually very refreshing because normally, especially with new students, you know, you're almost having to convince them to try and do the vinyl. But, you know, the big thing for us that we always say is that, you know, with vinyl, you've got no choice but for your ears to be the boss. And with today's day and age, you know, there's a lot of visual information, which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic and I do use a lot, but I'm very conscious that what I hear is the most important thing. But it's very easy to just go, okay, well, that says that and that says that, so I'm going to push that button there. And that's something definitely to avoid.
I mean, has the technical side just made everybody better? Or has it made people kind of skip certain learning curves or certain sort of foundations that we would have had to go through? Or
you certainly can. Yeah, you certainly can. There's nothing, you know, stopping you doing it. But, you know, for us, you know, it's about that foundation. You know, you need that foundation skill. You know, learning to beat match 2 records together with your ears is a skill that is applicable to every single piece of DJ kit available to everyone.
Yep, 100%.
And without that, yes, you can still hit, you know, sync, as long as you set your stuff up properly. We'll do a podcast on sync, definitely. I'm sure there's plenty to talk about that. But, you know, what happens is that, you know, when that doesn't go well and doesn't go right, you know, you having that foundation knowledge to fall back on and go, right, okay, you know, that sounds like it's a little bit out. Nudge, there you go, done.
But that foundation knowledge also cements the idea of like kind of phrase mixing and like actually like being able to understand what tracks you can mix with and what tracks you can't. And that's when like the more the new age kind of DJing comes in, like kind of creating your own mixins and mix outs, using parts of the equipment that you wouldn't have been able to. I mean, I remember I was saying this to someone the other day. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, oh, so because I used to be a battle DJ, so they were saying like
Soulboy Genius, yeah.
Just for anyone. Bluckle. Well, it was actually Trent's Fabulous, but there we go. So that's even worse, really, isn't it? They were saying, so what would you do if you saw a DJ using all the hot cues and all that kind of stuff during a battle routine back in like 1995 or whatever? I'd be like, I'd go out and buy the same mixer as him.
I'd get on level.
I'd get on level with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and as long as you've got the foundation, that's when your creativity starts to bloom. And anything within that new age DJ realm that can help that creativity, then we're all for it.
Yeah, right.
Bottom line is, and I know we weren't necessarily talking about the sync, but I'm going to drop it in there. You know, with that sync feature and using those tools in there, these are great creative enhancements for DJs that already know how to beat match.
Yeah.
You can't replace that beat matching skill, but you should, you know, or can adopt more technology and what these kits are capable of doing to enhance your sets.
I mean, one of the main things that we like kind of teach, and we'll name it on here, but we won't teach it on here because we want people to come along, obviously, but is the concept of dominant shifting. Like, dominant shifting really is the kind of, once you've got your beat matching, you've got all that done, which potentially sync can do for you, yes, like quantize can do for you, yes. But once you get into the realm of dominant shifting and really understanding how you take the dominance from one track to another track and carry on like that for 2 hours during your set, shifting the energies between tracks. There's no piece of software that's going to do that for you. No, you're right, yeah. There is nothing like that out there. Yeah. So that's where, again, the human element comes in, and that's where the DJ training comes in.
Ultimately, the music's always the most important. Yeah, tune 100%. Selection and how you transition between those. And no bit of technology, as Terry just said, can do that. No. That's why I kind of laugh at this whole kind of sync or not to sync kind of debate, because, still ultimately it needs a human being at the end to make those choices.
Yeah. I think the sync is a hot potato at the moment, so I think we should devote like another
let's show. Do it. I've got loads to say on that.
Another show to it.
But the thing that surprises people is like the sync button, the sync controversy literally exists on Facebook discussions.
That's the real world, no?
Yeah, but anywhere apart from that, this sync discussion doesn't exist. Like most of the say the DJs that we have through our doors who are fairly big DJs and want to learn how to use Rekordbox or want to learn how to use Serato and stuff like that. Once we explain sync to them, they're like, great, why wasn't I doing this like
I have to 10 years ago? A lot of the times when I come on after somebody, and I rarely do, but if I'm using the CDJs, it's always on.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Even if it's not on, right, all you need to do is use your eyes and go, right, that's 130.01. Yeah. Move that one up to 1.3, and it takes me literally 2 seconds to achieve what you could do in a split second.
Even when you're not syncing, you're syncing.
Yeah, but you're giving my maths a bit of a boost there. If I'm looking at the numbers, I'm like, how much is that? Honestly, that's a problem for me.
But you know what? Look, the key thing, and again, this is something that we can kind of cover either now or another time, but sync is basically useless if you're not kind of beat gridding your tracks and preparing them properly in whatever software you're using, because the software and the hardware is synchronizing the two beat grids, and those beat grids sit on top of the track. So if they're wrong, your sync is going to be totally useless.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're using like simple sync on Serato or something like that, where it's not necessarily looking at the beat grids, it's pretty janky unless you're like
janky.
Janky. I like that word. Yeah.
I've never heard you say that, and I want you to say it more often.
Fine, I'm going to try and squeeze it in another 3 times then.
But say it in different scenarios, so I really get confused as to what it actually means.
Your knees are looking pretty janky today, Jay.
What?
So there you go. That's another whole day's discussion, I think, because there's a lot of people talk about it on Facebook, like you say. And social media and stuff. Was there any more on the VL12?
No. So that's all. That's really all for that. So very exciting news regarding software updates. So
we can neither confirm or deny if we've had a play with it.
I was going to start with Rekordbox, but now you forced me to go Serato. So Serato 2 beta is out there. It's going to come potentially sometime in January.
It's looking like January,
And obviously with a big release like that, it's going to be very interesting to see what it is they will bring. And also I know that's out at the moment. It may already be out by now, but who knows, is Rekordbox, the next beta, Rekordbox 2 beta as well. So I know that's being tested publicly beta. So if you want to get involved in that, you can just go to pioneerdj.com, sign up to the forum, and you can get into the beta for that as well.
Let me ask you guys a question as experts. When you get like these update requests on your MacBook or whatever, and more often than not, if I do it without researching, I actually kick myself going, why the
do you mean the like OS updates? Or I never do it.
When you're looking at these type of updates, is there any buggy issues at the beginning, or do you generally wait for a while? Or
there's 2 kind of schools of that. If it's an OS update, like going from Sierra to High Sierra, I would typically wait between 3 and 9 months before update. I won't go near it initially.
Or at least until all the software that you're using is giving it the thumbs up.
But even then, it's also, we do some roundups on our site, the compatibility roundup, to kind of help people find this one-stop shop of what's good and what's not. And even when it's good, I think it was with either El Capitan or Sierra, I'd updated and all, Rekordbox, Tractor and Serato all said everything was fine. But the biggest problems that I had was with like Word, Excel, Safari. sorry.
Yeah.
You know, I had loads of problems with that.
Business
and it was,
management
exactly
stuff,
like the native stuff to Apple. So look, these, most people are using their laptops for, live performance and in a good amount of cases, it's your livelihood. I would be extremely cautious. Best advice, back everything up to the hills, use Time Machine, get a complete clone of it. Update it if you really feel like you need to. For me, unless there's something like outstandingly amazing that I cannot live without, why bother updating? If it works, it works. Don't update.
Exactly. There's no point if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
This part of it, I think is quite interesting for DJs because it's a bit of a minefield, really. And if you're kind of like me and you're not a computer nerd or buff or whatever it is, this is just a madness. This whole area. So. Yeah. I think for me it takes away a bit of the fun is having to know does this work with this, is this compatible. I just want to turn my shit on and play records.
I mean, look, it's the world we live in. There's not much. When they invented cars, and stuff. People had to walk everywhere, and all of a sudden you get cars. But with that comes a lot of expenses of getting it serviced and MOT and insurance and all that stuff. And I think this is the part of just accepting that this is the way.
We're in the matrix. And
exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what they used to call cars? Horse upgrades.
And with that, we'll go on to the next piece. So what else we got? Any deals happening?
We got a very good relationship with the guys at djkit.com. So I know they did a huge Black Friday thing back in November, and I know they're running a big thing over Christmas as well. So check them out. There'll be loads of deals. But my best advice is ensure you do your research before you're buying kit. There is a minefield out there. There's a lot of things to take inspiration from. Who your idols are, what they're using. Obviously, budget is going to be a huge part. For me, you should always try and invest in the most expensive bit of kit that you can afford, because it future-proofs you and gives you those, gives you that option to not wanting to have to upgrade after 12 months.
Definitely. I'll tell you what though, on the site, on the DJ Kit site, I've just seen they've got it on sale. If you're looking to buy a present for maybe one of your kids or one of your mates, but they've got the DJ WeGo DJ in a box set up for, I can't remember how much it was now. It was under £400, but that's a really, really, really good little setup.
I know someone that just got that, and they're really happy with it.
Yeah, just like I say, it's just a cool little play around thing for. Shame this is going out on Christmas Day because you can get one and all play on.
Yeah, but
Christmas
the sales,
Day.
January sales.
Do you know what? Still, for me, one of the best controllers out there is the Pioneer DDJ RB.
Yeah,
it's like 219 quid. Features wise, it's packed to the hills with stuff, and I'd say, quite confidently, 4 out of 5 new students that we pass through will end up buying one of those.
What's the price again?
219 quid. Wow. You get, obviously students of ours get 10% discount, so you get it for less than 200.
But you get a license for Record Box DJ.
Yeah, which is worth like 99 quid. So you're basically getting a controller for like 100 quid.
That's a steal right there.
Yes, rock solid.
But if you do get, because we've had this come through a lot of times recently, if you do get something like that, make sure you double check what the minimum system requirements are for it. So and just make sure that your laptop has those minimum requirements.
That's a good point. You don't want to have it
or your horse can take it.
The horse can't take the car.
Your horse can carry it. It's not too heavy for your horse.
Anything else going on that we need to quickly go through?
Loads, but I think that will be good enough for now. I mean, obviously, people can go to ontherisedjacademy.com. We do put major updates of news up on the site, and then kind of smaller tidbit kind of stuff we stick up on our Facebook page.
But I tell you what,
Instagram.
we had like a little discussion with someone the other day, because one piece of kit that I'm really excited about is the Rain 12, which is basically the full vinyl turntable size Serato controller.
Sexy time.
They announced it a couple of months ago now, and I think what I was told was they kind of announced it a little bit too early, so that potentially won't be hitting now until like kind of January kind of time. But just to let you know, if you're listening to this and you're wondering where it is on the way. Apparently, I've had it on good authority that it's going to be hitting around January. Okay,
and just in case you are listening to this still after 25 minutes, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We'll be doing this regular enough, so keep up with the On The Rise Academy Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Instagram?
we don't really update the Twitter. To be honest, like, we focus mainly on the Facebook page, Instagram for all the pretty stuff, and then we use the website for all kind of the more kind of chunky bits.
And when he says pretty stuff, that means me and him don't actually hit our Instagram feed very often.
Okay.
There's not pictures of us.
We've got faces for Facebook.
Interviews. We should tell them about the interviews that we're going to have. Some guest series.
So we've got we recorded a few interviews over the last year or so called DJ Tech Evolution, and the idea behind this series is to kind of get a well-established DJ who's been around for a few years and talk about what kit, it's very kit focused, a bit more nerdy, what kit did they start DJing on, why, what did they move on to next, and really just kind of follow their kind of DJ Tech evolution of what setups they have been using throughout the time. And just get a little bit more information about that. A lot of the times these guys don't really talk about that. They're talking about their gigs or the releases coming out. So it's just to kind of drill down on a little bit more of a kind of tech nerdy level. And also, they give a few tips for like DJs, how to get started. And we've also asked some questions about where they see DJing technology going to the future, and there's a few quite funny, interesting answers to that. There's
some big guests as well, so I'm excited to hear those.
Yeah, so the first one is Dom from the Stand-Up Warriors.
Yeah,
been a long time friend of ours, so it was great to have him down and have a chat, so we'll have a little listen to that later on.
All right, so I think we're wrapping up here, lads. Anything else to say?
We were going to do the tech tips, weren't we?
Like little tech tips.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll
talk about nerdy bits. Good segue.
Yeah.
That bit's getting chopped, that last segment for me. So tech tips. What have you got?
So basically, what we're going to do each and every podcast is kind of just drill down into just some little ideas about how you can kind of help yourself as a DJ. Sometimes it might be something about how to promote yourself. Sometimes it might be on a specific bit of software or kit. It's just general good information to kind of help you. We are going to try and keep it as broad as possible. So the first one we're going to do, totally nerdy, is basically our approach to digital DJing. And we base this on a 3-step process, which is organise, prepare, perform. And again, not the most sexy, exciting side of DJing, but
Eat, sleep,
it's quite sexy.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat.
But it's been one of our most kind of popular courses that we've done over the last year. So much so that BPM asked us to come down and do a talk on it at last year's show in October, which went really well. Pretty much full house in there, which was nice.
I mean, nearly every single one of our students, if they're on the digital platform, will be taught some version of this, whether it's the expanded version or like the slightly simpler version.
It depends on how much you're kind of interested. We can do the basic overview and go right in. So, we're going to do the basic.
This one's close to my heart because
I
came in recently. Terry had a look at my files and nearly got sick all over the keyboard. So.
I mean, if he got sick, I can only imagine what I would have done.
I'm just not
it would have given Jay an aneurysm.
It's just not. I'm just not clean and organised like that. But that's my New Year resolution.
I never used to be. Like I my stuff was all over the place. Yeah. All over the place until Jay whipped me into shape, basically.
Do you know what? Like back in the day, with vinyl, it was a little bit more straightforward, and you didn't really need to approach this. There are extreme examples like me. Like every promo that I got, I'd put a little sticker on it with a little number, and it would all go on the shelf, and it was all nice and organised. I know, honestly, mental nerd. And then every time I did a gig, I would do a little bit of research, find out if DJs had played there before, give them a call, and I would hand select records for every single gig. Now, ultimately, this didn't last too long, just because I did end up drawing for the same tunes, but I still enjoyed that process of really thinking about it. For me, it was about you only could take 80 or 90 records with you. You had no choice. So you had to really think about where you were playing. You know, if you went down one route and that didn't work, then you were...
The old USB wasn't in your pocket at that point.
I mean, I don't even think they'd invented USBs when I started DJing. So, it's about that kind of mentality. And now, obviously, you can fill a USB up with 3,000-4,000 tunes without a bat of an eyelid, and obviously laptops holding a hell of a lot more. So the basic principle of this is organise, finding a good structured way to organise your music. Now, I'm a massive fan of iTunes. I appreciate that people aren't, but for me, still, it's one of the best tools out there to organise your music. Now, it's not designed as a mass tool for DJs. It's designed as a consumer-based music consumption software, from streaming to music that's on your hard drive as well. But the smart smart features and the smart playlists rather that are in there, you can start assigning and automating rules so that, you know, if you've brought your music in, let's say for example you DJ house, but under that banner of house you're also doing slightly techie sets or funky sets or soulful sets or whatever, you can start tagging, you know, individual tracks with not only the genre as house but then subgenre, and you may have one song that's a bit techie but also a bit funky as well, so you can give it 2 tags. So what this starts doing is starts building up these automated playlists of tunes that you have thought about. And again, it's really important, I feel, to do a lot of prep work before gigs now, because this means that when you're in the booth, you're thinking about 2 things: the crowds and tune selection. 3 things. Also being creative as a DJ, you know, and that's really important. You know, the more organised you are, and, you know, Traktor and Serato do have some ability to do that, but not very well. Rekordbox, I do think, is a phenomenal organisational tool. It does have, you know, you can tag stuff, you can give it different colours, you can give it moods. You know, there's a lot of metadata you can assign to that to help, again, facilitate, you know, quick thinking and quick reactiveness as a DJ. But the problem I have with that is that, you know, I use all 3 platforms. So if I organise everything in Rekordbox, I can't see those playlists in Traktor or Serato.
So what do you do? Have 3 different?
No, that's what I mean. You just put it in iTunes and all your playlists
iTunes,
in iTunes, and then you open up any DJ program and iTunes can be read by.
That's
by
really the jewel of this system, though. So because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, there could be like another amazing DJ platform come out that everybody gravitates to. And if it connects to iTunes, then you've got all your playlists there sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, Engine Prime, Denon's software, which they've brought out with the Prime series, you know, it's in its, you know, very early stages. It's just like kind of Rekordbox was, you know, many years ago. It's just a way of kind of prepping your tracks, giving them beat grids, cue points, and what have you. But, you know, the evolution of that, you know, it's only going to go one way.
And you guys are about mad for the detail and metadata when you're.
I'm not quite as mad as he is.
Oh, mate, I'm a nut. Every tune I got, I'll go to Discogs, I'll get the artwork, get the catalogue number, I'll go to town, mate.
He loves it. He loves it.
Love it.
For me, for a very practical way of using, this is how I organise my sets. So anytime I'm playing anywhere, I will do like Jay was just kind of talking about, just have like a bit of a listening session before the night, and just go through and think, right, what is this night about? What do people expect me to play at this night? Where is it? Like, kind of, what era of stuff do they want me to play at? And what I'll do is I'll go through and listen to my genre, my pre-constructed genre playlist. Say, right, this is going to be a breaks night, maybe with a bit of drum and bass and blah, 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 blah. And I will construct a playlist for that night out of my playlists that are there by using the smart playlist and grouping and using either the name of the night or the name of the city or something like that. So say if I'm playing in Moscow next week, I'll sit there and I'll go through the tracks, all my new tracks, all my old tracks, and I'll put Moscow December 2017 in the grouping, and then create a playlist using the smart playlist, using the grouping contains Moscow 2017, and I'll have my set there sitting there ready, and I've already predetermined my set. But that doesn't mean that I just have to play those tunes either, because I've also got my other playlist on my USB. But it means that I'm not flicking through like 4 or 5 playlists. Of like potentially tens of thousands of tunes.
The key thing here is preparation. You know, you can do a lot of the hard work and a lot of thinking prior to that gig, and I believe you should be. You know, I see DJs that are playing, they're scrolling through 400-500 tracks. I'm like, what?
It gives me a headache seeing that.
So like in the hotel or on the train on the way, just flicking through everything, getting it ready for.
I mean, just get yourself a beer and do it. If you're teetotal, don't get yourself a beer. But like, I get myself a beer or a cup of tea. Get a cup of tea. I mean, or a falafel and sit there.
You won't even believe this. I haven't seen my crates, but for me personally, if it's a gig, I'll find some time just to get what I think I'm going to play.
No, you don't.
I'm telling you, I do. You don't know. But even that mental check just gets me in a better zone when I turn up on the...
It's a great way to reconnect with your library, because, you know, one of the other things is, you know, clearing the stuff out. You know, I guarantee 100%. You there's a very high percentage of DJs out there that could get rid of probably 50% of their library and still be no different.
Do you know what? When you had when we used to go and playing on CDs, you'd have a fair size CD case. But there's no way you're turning up to that gig with every single CD that you've ever had.
Yeah, exactly.
And scratch CDs and ones that skip halfway through or whatever. You're constantly refreshing your CD case.
This is why I say go back, you know, for DJs that haven't played vinyl, it's a little bit harder to kind of put yourself into that mindset. But if you said to yourself, right, I can only take, I'm playing an hour, so I'm going to take 2 hours worth of music. I guarantee you'd spend a hell of a lot longer thinking about those tunes. You know, I struggle with this. You know, I'm quite happy to admit that. You know, I'll do a playlist of, for argument's sake, 100 tunes for an hour set. I'm never going to play 100. I mean, I might play quite a few of them. But when I get to the gig and I'm in front of the crowd, for me, it's almost really obvious, like, why did I put that in there? There's no way I'm going to play that. But getting yourself in that mindset is really important. I think if you limited yourself to those amount of tunes, you know, it's gonna help.
One good way I'll interject now. Like, one good way to like kind of thin down your library a little bit is getting rid of anything that's under a certain quality. I mean, we obviously we have quite a few students through here, and they've got libraries of varying sizes. And one of the first things we say to them is anything underneath 320, get rid of.
So all your YouTube rips on your...
no, they're all right. They're great, mate. They're great. You know, if you want to kill your career on the first couple of gigs...
I tell you what, your first gig, go along, play a couple of tunes that have got official video in brackets on the metadata,
or a Russian website in the comments. Just delete it,
and then you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself you're never getting booked again.
Do we leave the file sizing and stuff for another day?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to go into. Yeah, definitely. So that's the organisational side. Just be more organised, trim down what you've got. The prep side again is something that I see a lot of DJs not doing, or just kind of doing to a certain degree. When you analyse your tracks in Recordbox, Tractor, Serato, whatever, it's assigning a beat grid, and that beat grid essentially is a roadmap for that song to be able to tell the software where each individual beat is. I kind of liken it to basically driving down the motorway. You could drive down the motorway without the lines in the middle. We'd all still be all going in the same direction, but it'd be chaos. No one would know. Well, I mean, no, not many people know how to drive properly on a motorway.
You can fly down there in a Harrier jump jet.
Or horse. Horse keeps coming up. What's going on?
Horse looks a bit janky.
So it's putting that beat grid, and that beat grid is so essential for your enhanced creative side. Be able to do loops on the flies when you're executing effects, anything that takes a part of the song and repeats it. Adding cue points, there's so much that beat grid can help you save time and add to your creativity. Then obviously, adding your cue points, whatever software you're using, thinking about that kind of system. For me, I think it's important to evolve towards like a consistency in how you use hot cues.
Yeah.
Because each time you load a track, you don't want to be going, I've got 5 hot cues here. What does that and do? Oh, hold on a minute. What does the second one do again? Find a system that works for you. For me, just experiment. Chuck loops in, chuck hot cues in, find different ways, and actually DJ with them, record the set and go back and see, did that work? What was good? Question it.
I've only gotten to the habit recently of actually labeling which cue point is, basically. So
Barry, you're making me feel dizzy, mate.
Seriously. But what I do think is, like,
I'm gonna have to get him an Alka-Seltzer. He's turning green.
I'm the only one without a chair.
No, but you know what? I knew what they were doing in my head. I was like, that last one's when I mix out, or this one's a loop, or what. But I mean, when you've got that many tunes, I guess then it's time to go, right, well, what the f***?
Do you know what? Key thing for me for that is pick 20, 30, 50 tunes and just experiment with those ones. Like with organising your library, if you try and tackle the whole library, it can be insanely daunting, and you won't find the motivation to do it. Take a chunk of tracks, ideally the genre that you play and the style that you like the most. Find and adapt a system for the organisational side, work on the different cue points and different creative bits, and then do step 3, perform with them. You've got to complete that cycle in order to figure out how it's working for you. Yeah, it's not, it's not something that you have to do all of them individually. In fact, I'd strongly discourage people against that. Run through the motions. Then when you get to the perform side and you think, do you know what? Now I've got those beat grid lined up. I find a lot of that echo effect is working really nice now. And I can chuck in loops on the fly. Right, okay, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop DJing now. I'm going to go back to my playlists, and I'm going to start organising and go back round again.
One thing I'll say at this point as well is like something that was like kind of very practically happened to me on Saturday night. I've got a load of new tunes across like the kind of last couple of weeks, and I set all the cue points on. I did my my loops, my cue points, all that kind of stuff, and I did 8 across every single one of the tunes. Yeah, just a nice bit of prep. And I got there, and it was a pair of XDJs with no access, no instant access to the individual players. I can't remember what the model of them are with the touchscreen.
Sorry, I was thinking about horses. What was that?
I had a pair of Pioneer XDJs, and I had no access to the hot cues, like no obvious access to the hot cues, and I was a few drinks deep as well. But the thing is,
that wouldn't be like you, Terrence.
Yeah, I know.
Cough.
But think about your hot cues practically. Like, if you're playing a lot of different venues and a lot of different pieces of kit, you may have a controller in front of you where you've got access to 8 hot cues straight there in front of you. Some of these things you might be playing on a pair of 900s where you've got no access to hot cues. So think about how many kind of practical hotkeys you can have, which are performance hotkeys, so you can like kind of jump between parts of the track, and which ones are your sensor hotkeys that tell you where to mix in and mix out, and kind of divide them up a little bit. But don't go too crazy on setting 8 performance hotkeys, because you might not actually have access to them once you get onto the piece of kit in the club.
Just because you've got 8, don't use 8. I mean, actually now with the latest version of Record Box, you can actually put in 16, because with the new XP1 pad performance controller that's come out, you've expanded it right out, and this is getting more towards the kind of performance.
Expanded it right out.
Right out.
Who needs 16? I'll be honest with you.
Well, like, you look at kind of turntablers and performance guys like that are using different kind of access points. You know, I get again, like, it's kind of going down that musical instrument routine. It's that live performance element that's in there.
That's not like one track to the next. That's like, let's do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can use that with pitch and time, imagine what you can do with 16, like kind of with 16 hot cues.
Boner.
Yeah. You'd be playing that like a musical instrument.
Yeah. And that's not saying that you have to, but you know, this is what I love about the evolution of, you know, DJ technology, especially over the last few years. It's opening out and it's bridging gaps, and barriers are being broken down. You know, you look at that role, the producer DJ role 20 years ago was a very separate role, and then it became very obvious that, you know, the producer DJ role was being combined.
And 20 years before that, it was Dave Lee Travis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now, you know, the technology is catching up to really facilitate that kind of live performance. But use it, don't use it. You know, don't, you know, if you're not into kind of the finger drumming kind of moving around stuff, you know, fine, practice it, try it. But you don't have to do it. But, you know, the fact that it's there, great, love it.
Okay.
So then the third step, perform.
That's
easy. That's it. This is where it all comes into.
Just go and play some tunes.
Yeah.
That's it.
The key thing is, for me, in that booth, I don't want to be trying to find tunes. I don't want to be adding cue points, loop points, and preparing a song for it. I want to get in there, I want to keep my eye on the crowd, and I want to keep that dance floor moving. So all that hard work and all that thought, and I'm not saying anyone's going to get it right every time, but you can get it very close. You can get it very close.
I think you're right. I think you don't want to be fecking around with the laptop. It's, you know, no one wants to see you typing anything onto a laptop.
No.
It's about doing the do once you...
Yeah. It's about that freedom to perform and knowing that you've got the confidence in your files and they're all prepared, they're organised.
You know them
you don't
backwards.
you don't have to flick through 10,000 of them to get to the tune that you want. All the metadata is there, so if you did have to go for a QWERTY search on them, you know that you'll be able to find it. So it's all that preparation really like kind of adds up to a great performance, because your only focus really should be the connection between the music and your crowd.
And at that stage, you can do your heart shape.
You can do your heart shapes at that point.
You know? So
oh my God!
So as Terry likes to do.
Do you know what? It's the heart shape.
Terry likes to do, does he?
And
throw up the hearts. That's why we have cue points.
It's that, and people just stabbing at the mixer really quickly.
Oh, can we talk about one thing off?
Yeah.
So you know, the boiler room stuff, and there was one recently in Belfast, and there was a girl there, and she did her thing, but I was just looking at it, and I had a few drinks, so I was looking at it extra, going, what is she? She was just doing this kind of, like, you know, that kind of fake tweak. Yeah. If you don't have anything to do, is it okay just to not be doing the...
Okay, I've got very strong thoughts on
this. Operation
it's
on
absolutely fine.
Fuck, it really pisses me off.
Do you know what? Like, for me, the first thing I think when I see that is you're playing a pre-recorded mix and trying to look busy.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I think.
Shit,
for me, if you understand EQ and what these tools, because they're extremely powerful tools that have been available on mixes for decades now, they are extremely... There's nothing that you can do with them with that speed that can have any positive impact on the dance floor.
Yeah,
these are powerful tools. And again, I think this is a good topic. You know, for me, EQ for DJs works in two ways, either creative or corrective. So you're using something to kind of make something sound a little bit better, or you're using it as a creative tool to help, you know, transition between songs and switching dominance. And with the knowledge that I've got, I certainly don't claim to know it all, but I do know a lot. There's no way that you could move that quickly and execute that level of precision that's required to have a positive impact.
But even the depth of the movement wouldn't really do that much anyway. On the bigger scale of things, doing that and that quickly, the depth and the speed of that movement wouldn't do it. I think it's a DJ tick.
Pissing me off.
I think it's a DJ tick. I think it's something that people do when they've got nothing else to do with their hands.
We've had students in here, and again, you know, I like to kind of get ones that have kind of got some level of skill. Will come in and I'll let them, you know, get them play a few records and just see what they're doing, and we'll talk about it afterwards, because I always like to know, you know, where to start off, and quite a few more than I would like to be out there. You know, they're doing this, that, and the other with the EQ. So, you know, one of the first questions is, you know, why are you doing that? You know, well,
what are you doing?
I saw, well, no, and in some cases, people have, you know, come up with an answer. And I'm like, okay, you know what, fair enough.
But it's like the incremental movements of the thing during a track, and maybe it's in his head. It's like, well, it's kind of
some of the answers are, you know, you know, I do that because, you know, I watched the DJ of this guy, and he seems to be doing that quite a lot. So again, you know, that for me is even one level back from that. Is that you know, you don't even, there's no thought. It's a visual thing. People look at me, you know, so I probably should be doing something.
I get that too. I do get that. You need to be like you're getting paid to be somewhere, and if you're doing absolutely nothing behind the controller, it does look a bit weird. But I don't know. If you can mix the records,
stop touching the mixer anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm constantly doing something all the time when I'm DJing, whether it's finding the next track, whether it's queuing something up,
drinking up a pint,
whatever
the heart
stuff
shape.
that you do, doing the heart shape and stuff like that, pointing at my friends saying, "Bring me more booze." But the thing is, I can understand on those longer form tracks, like myself and Jay, we play beaty music, and there's always something coming in or going out or whatever. So I can kind of understand in that context, and it's almost become like a DJ tick where people do it. If they understand, and a lot of them do in the end, that it's not actually doing anything, then they could look at something else that they could do. Like they could.
There's work to be done.
Yeah, there's always work to be done. There's always something to be done.
For me, you should always question what you do.
Yeah.
And am I having a positive impact on the dance floor? You know, the best advice that I give to people is pick one song, play that through the mixer. Headphones, good pair of monitors, you know, wherever it is, and just slowly play around with the highs, mids and lows, and get to learn and understand what it is and how it's doing it. When you're mixing two songs, you know, play around with the EQ and A-B it, take it out, put it back in. Is it, and don't worry about the mix, you know, the mix or the next tune or whatever. Think, is this making it better or worse? Choose different songs, you know, 2, 10, 20, all different styles of music, and just play just with the EQ. You need, you know, to have a relationship with these tools, and you need to make educated, positive, high impact or good impact decisions with those, because ultimately most people on the dance floor don't give a shit that you're twiddling your hands around. You're doing it because some guy's walking around maybe with a camera. I don't know, I sound quite anti it just because in my experience when I've seen people do it, it does drive me crazy. It really does. Like people just stabbing around like lunatics. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no. I'm glad actually, because we didn't pre-talk about any of this.
No. Because I mean, the actual movement that it looks like it's making is it looks dynamic, but the effect on the sound
doesn't make any difference.
There's no difference
so
there whatsoever.
Kind of, your ears are asking questions, going, "What's the hand?"
Yeah. And I think in the context of DJing, what you want to do is make everything sound as smooth as possible. So if something's not making a massive impact in the wrong direction, people will keep doing it. Right. I mean, what we try and teach people is how to make a dynamic movement in the right direction. So it's actually doing something to the music, but it sounds good and smooth and cool at the same time.
And this is why it's always important, you know, to record what you do. Even if you just, you know, whatever level of DJ you are, you know, record what you do at home. It's very hard to be subjective when you're in the mix with those two tunes. And I always say to people, look, do the same mix 3 times, but do it 3 different ways. Do it once with the EQ, then the next time use the filter, then don't use anything, then maybe do a 4th way with utilising both. Sit down and listen to it. Make a decision and listen really intently as to what you've done as a DJ with the mixer or technology that you've got to hand. And inform yourself as what sounds good and what doesn't, or what sounds better.
I mean, it's really that easy to record mixes nowadays, as there should be no reason why you don't record mixes.
Just go hit the record button, bro.
Exactly. One thing we can hopefully one thing we can all agree on is if you're doing the filter sweep, you should look like you're being electrocuted. You know, that kind of like.
Do you know what? I catch myself doing it all the time. I'm so guilty of it. I'm so as I do it, you're going on tiptoes.
Yeah, you're just getting shocked right to the core.
That's what the sound makes you feel like.
That's because you.
But why does no one on the dance floor do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not DJs.
Anything else that we need to go through over the course of this opening podcast?
I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah,
I think we've done well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And with that,
can we just say, can we all agree? I think that our favourite piece of kit this month, last month, it was definitely something from the Denon Prime.
Are we doing a favourite bit of kit each month?
Okay,
I like that. I like that. All right.
I'm instituting that now. So obviously we weren't doing the podcast over the last couple of months, but I think both me and Jay will probably agree that the anything from the Denon Prime series is probably our picks of the month.
Yeah, it's and kudos to them. They just won best innovative product at the DJ Mag Tech Awards, and also best media player, I think, as well. They cleaned up. They did well.
I think my favourite piece of kit of the month that I've played with has got to be, because we just got it in the studio, is the XDJ RX2. I just think it's an absolutely banging piece of kit.
Swoon.
So how long before that's the go-to brand in clubs? Is that? Do you think? Do you honestly see that coming?
What I hope genuinely is that Denon continue on the path that they're going, and the choice just opens up. I don't think there has to be or should necessarily be one leader. Like, we don't all just drive Audis or BMWs or Mercedes. There's a consumer choice that's out there. Obviously, there are logistics that are involved that are a lot different in the comparison to cars. But I think the market opening up is just a good thing for DJs. And again, more creative tools for us to play with. Basically, the consumer wins, exactly.
And with that, lads,
I think as this is Christmas Day, we should probably edit in DMX doing was it Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Yes, all right. That's our outro. Fist bumps all around. I hope you've enjoyed the first ever podcast, which we are now calling
DJ Knowledge Crate.
Yeah, boy.
And I hope it's been a fountain of knowledge for you guys.
Would this be the inaugural?
This is.
This is it.
Yeah, this is the inaugural. Inaugural.
I feel like I should be wearing a cape or something.
I hope you didn't find the inaugural podcast too janky. See, that's 3 times. That's 3 times in the podcast.
Juicy scores.
Yes, the DJ Knowledge Crate podcast.
We're going to stick this up on a piece of paper in front of us for the next couple, because I think
DJ Knowledge Crate podcast.
Yep.
No.
DJ Knowledge Crate podcast.
That's too many. I think the DJ Knowledge Crate
podcast.
You don't have to say podcast.
Yeah,
it's quite obviously it is a podcast.
The podcast is silent.
Yeah. You don't pronounce the podcast.
It's there, but you don't say it.
What about the podcast?
Podcasters for podcasters.
For real, though, I hope people have taken something away, enjoyed it, stuck with it, learned something. And if you want to get in touch, all the social medias, I'm at Bazza Ranks on Instagram, Facebook, Terence.
So it's all about the On the Rise. We're On the Rise DJ Academy on
Facebook.
Online, on Facebook.
Facebook's probably the best place to message us, or you've got a contact page on our website, which is ontheriseacademy.com.
There you go.
We've also got, just want to give one final shout out to the djkit.com guys, because they've been very good to us over the last year, and some of the kit that we'll be reviewing will be very kindly supplied by them. We're also going to offer a discount code for you lucky listeners. What are we going to give? What percentage off?
10.
Oh, he's so tight.
Oh,
right,
we'll
do.
Okay, we'll do a nice.
It's Christmas for
20%. Right, 20%.
All right.
Right, 20% off lessons. Any one-to-one lessons with myself or Terry.
Atomic Grinch over here.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to some of the external tutors that we've got for our production courses, and also we've got John First, which is the 2013 DMC online winner. Big shout out to John. He does all our advanced turntablism courses. Aston from the Freestylers does our production lessons for Logic. We've also got Anti-Scissor Kicks, Mr. King Youth, Toronto's Broken, all on board to help us out with production elements and whatnot. So basically, discount code, just get in touch with us via ontheriseacademy.com, hit up the contact page and just mention OTR Pod, OTRPOD, somewhere in your communication, and we will make sure we'll get a 20% off for your lessons.
And
that is valid until Boxing Day, so get on it. No, actually, we'll do that till end of Jan.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll do it to the
January
end of Jan.
sales.
Yeah.
Plus 20.
Yeah.
Anyone else on just would like a podcast to listen to that is some way related to DJs? I have Dirty Dubcast, and Terry has been a former guest. So has Tom. So has Aston from Freestylers.
I listened to that. It was a really good one, actually. I've known about Aston, or known him for years and years. I was a bit sketchy about the early years, the Black possibly. So that was an amazing history piece. I knew he was involved in the rap tune Spiritual Aura, but I had no idea of the kind of depth of what he's involved in. So, if you're a Freestylers fan, definitely check out the podcast. It was a great interview.
Yeah, so thanks for listening. Happy Christmas. Keep in touch.
I'm going to go and get drunk.
Yes.
Why? It's 4:00 on a Tuesday. Oh no, it's
Roll
Christmas Day.
QDMX right here.